Greetings and welcome to Quantum Healing with Candace. I'm your host, Candace craw-goldman. This program was created to assist humans in this rapidly changing world while it is expanding into new realms, new ways of thinking and being. It is based upon the foundation of the late, great Dolores Cannon's work and our continued contact with her from beyond the veil. So thank you, Dolores, for continuing to encourage us to explore new directions. Also thanks to Greg Prescott and Michelle Walling at in5d.com for making this show possible. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of my wonderful supporters of the show and this work, and all of my In5D friends, my New Earth Journey friends, my Facebook friends, QHHT practitioners, and of course, clients. With humanity's new understanding and acceptance of the quantum world and the role that consciousness plays in shaping both our individual and our collective reality, we have plenty of subject material for this show. I'm a full-time practitioner of Dolores' hypnosis method and had the honor and distinct privilege of working with and alongside of her for several years. You can find out more about my practice of quantum healing and my consulting and coaching services at newearthjourney.com. And I'd like to mention I'm now offering 2 new remote quantum healing services. One is Quantum Healing Meditation Process, a personalized and completely unique to you downloadable MP3 file. I'm also offering a new long-distance quantum energy healing service that you can think of as something similar to distance Reiki. Call or email me about details. And lastly, before we get started tonight, for those of you looking for a practitioner of Dolores Cannon's method of quantum healing, or for those who have trained with Dolores in the past, take note of this website, DoloresCannonQHHT.com. There you will find an easy-to-use photo listing of practitioners, their blogs, YouTubes, and published books, and also for the serious practitioner of Dolores' method, her original Quantum Healing Support Forum, which has 8 years of abundant resources. And again, you can find all of that at DoloresCannonQHHT.com. This show supports those who are dedicated members of our support forum community. Hi everyone, today is July 21st, 2016. And I've been very busy being a nurse to many beings in my family, and I haven't been doing any shows for a while. I was on a show with Andrew Fisher yesterday, the Nature of Reality show, but I haven't done any of my own shows really since the first part of May of this year because of all the different things going on in the world and in my life. But I'm so happy to be back, and I'm very excited today to welcome a wonderful, an amazing, and very interesting person that I have known for quite some time, but haven't spoken to in this way until this morning for me, and this afternoon for her. And I'd like to welcome now Ikramini from, and how do you say your last name, please?
Noori.
Ikramini Noori, and she is an Iraqi-born Swedish resident right now, and she is like a jack of all trades. She just talking with her briefly before the show this morning. She's telling me all the different things she does. She and we are talking today, of course, because she practices Dolores' method of quantum healing, and she does so in Europe and in the Islamic states in Arabic. And there's so much to talk about, but she is so talented in so many ways. She just before I pressed record told me she does cartooning. She's a fashion designer, and I'm sure even more. So I want to welcome you to Quantum Healing with Candace show. Hi, Cremini.
Hi, Candace. So thank you for having me and for the nice introduction about me. I'm so excited, by the way. And where do you want me to start? Because it's I'm not 25, so I have so much to say.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for being here. This is really exciting. There's really so much that we can talk about. But I guess what I would like to know is, how did you first discover Dolores? How did you first get into this particular work?
Okay, so this goes back to the spiritual journey I have made in my life. Actually, I am a very spiritual person, but I didn't know that I am. So I was always focusing on such, but it is, in my early age, I was born in Iraq, in Baghdad, and in that environment, we have it. We think it's a religion. It's religion. It's not spiritual. So we put everything which is spiritual in a religion. And then I think there is a big difference, because there are so many spiritual techniques or spiritual beliefs. And well, spiritual is not belief, it's something in each and every one of us. And religion is something you just inherit from your family and from your culture.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a big difference. So I think after a while, when I started to understand the difference, I knew that I am a very spiritual person, because I found myself looking for masters and gurus, and from all religions, by the way, not only from Islamic part, all religions. I wanted to know. There is some lacking part I wanted to know about. And of course, when you are interested in things and you are ambitious person, you go after one after another. And then I found Dolores, fortunately, and I got so interested in her through her YouTubes, and I started to read about her, some of her books. And then luckily, I really met her before she passed away, and I got the technique with her.
That's amazing. So when did you meet Dolores, and when did you take the initial training? Where was that? Where was that?
13,
Mm-hmm.
13,
Mm-hmm.
13, 20, 12, 13. I'm not so sure. I have to go back again to the
Mm-hmm.
to the dates, but I think it's 13.
Yep. Well, I have you as, being a part of our group, Dolores's original support forum group, since 2013. So it had to have been around that time, or maybe slightly before then. So where did you take the class with her?
It is 13, but before that, I think 2 years I was following her
Aha.
the books, and that's why I'm not so sure when.
Sure.
The books and the YouTube, and I went so much into her that she really occupied all my interest at that period. So then I decided to go to the course.
Mm-hmm. So where was the course located when you?
It was in England.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yeah. So how did your background mesh with some of the material and teachings that Dolores was, giving to the class and talking about? I mean, obviously, you said you'd been following her and reading her books, but there's quite a reach from your origins, I would think, with some different concepts, etc. I'm really interested in how you integrated some of that and some of the thoughts you might have had about it at the time.
If you go, I think this goes on everything. If you go so fanatic, then you will find that there are differences. But if you go to the essence, to the essence of each religion, you will find that they are the same. And what she is talking about, and what her books were really telling about, I couldn't see any difference. It was really as if she was talking from my religion.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So you need to be a little open and take things in a wider horizon. You
Mm-hmm.
take them as a that they are coming from the same source. Then everything goes well.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see any contradiction between what she wrote, what she said, with what I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, I really feel the same way too. I mean, if you just back up a little bit from perspectives, we, across the world have a whole lot more similarities than we do differences.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're a person of the world. So how old were you when you left Iraq and ended up over in Europe and in Sweden finally?
Well, I came 39.
Mm-hmm.
39.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. So you're 39 years old, and then you learned
No, not now. Not I am being when I came. I
Yes.
was 39. So it is 8 years.
Yes.
So now I am end of 40s. I am leaving the 40s.
Right.
I'm changing very newly in December. I'm changing to 50.
So you had to start learning new languages later on in life, which I'm always so impressed with. All I've got is this English. So
but you know the basic.
Yes.
The basic, yeah.
Yes.
So you don't need. I learned German when I was 30 in university because I like learning languages,
Hmm.
and I was intending to go to French, but the war went up, and
Yes.
then unfortunately I couldn't go. But then the Swedish.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Oh gosh, well that's just great. So now you practice Dolores's method in more than just one area of the world. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about that? Because that's pretty unique. You travel and you do this work in various areas.
Yes, that's true. Well, before I go to that place, let me give some, like, highlight some points
Sure.
about the technique. From my perspective and from my experience, I've been doing it for a long while, and I think it might not fit everyone. And I think this is the
Hmm.
case of every technique, every healing technique. It
Hmm.
does not go to everyone because we are different, and so our acceptance to what comes is also different. One, I have had a client. She has made a session with me, and then after a short while, she called me and she said, "I want to have a session. I want to book session to my husband as a birthday in his birthday, like a present."
Hmm.
And it doesn't work this way. You have to have you must come here willing to take this session. You have to be convinced to take it. So it's not a relaxation session, or it's a entertainment. It's a session with a mission. You are really contacting the higher soul of yours. I don't really want to focus on the name because the
Hmm.
sky is the limit for the names. So the
Yes.
subconscious, the higher soul, the main soul. Because when I converted the text to Arabic, I had to make some modifications. So many times I modified it many times until I really started to feel, okay, this is working, and this
Hmm.
can get results.
Hmm.
So yes, I have traveled to Jordan and to Emirates for sessions, and they were really amazing,
That
amazing.
that's great. Why don't you tell us about some of your favorite sessions over the years? Some great
Uh,
healing sessions or great stories. What are some of the highlights, ones that you refer to or were
yeah,
memorable for you?
well, each session has its own um, individual or nature. Yeah, so they are all, for me, I think all of them are very successful. Even those who left and they told me by the eye that they were not satisfied, actually they were preparing questions. From my perspective, they are not very realistic. For example, one of the mostly the young people they have very high expectations.
Yes.
One young man, he brought 84 questions, and he was asking that his bank account jumps into 7 numbers.
Oh
And
my.
yeah, and I said, why do you need this? And one of them wanted to have 5 languages when he leaves. And he wanted German, Spanish, French, Russian, and Chinese, in addition to developing a very good English. So so these questions come from our rational mind, which is very limited. Because I asked him, why on earth do you want these things? Why do you want to learn all these things? Where do you want to use them? Yeah. So some expectations, if they are not really realistic, of course the session doesn't work this way. You are contacting the higher soul of yours, which is part of you, the vast, the very powerful part of your mind, which is covered by our noisy. The Dolores says always Mr. Monkey, who is covering it by our this monkey mind. It covers that area. So we are asking through the session. We are asking this part to in a friendly way, not by opposing it or being against it. We ask it in a friendly way to subside so that we can listen to the messages in the real place where we have all the answers and all the healings. So
Hmm.
let me give you some, because you asked about the examples, the nice examples. I remember once I had a session with a lady. She was diagnosed liver cancer, and she was, of course, she was also scheduled as chemotherapy, and she was very afraid, very, very afraid. She came to me and she said, well, this is the last chance. And actually, we went through a very tough session because she was really jumping on the bed in a way that I really didn't know what to do at that time.
Gosh, yes.
She was really a big person, and I thought maybe she can hurt herself when doing that. But when we finished and she came back again to the normal state of mind, after 22 days exactly, she contacted me and she said it wasn't cancer, it was a blood clot.
Oh my. Oh my.
She brought flowers with her friends, and they were really crying. I was also crying because I couldn't believe. She was very sure that it was cancer in her liver.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
One else, a relative of mine, she's young, 23 years old, and she was diabetic since 3 years old, a child problem. And after 2 sessions, she started to have, she started to vomit and nausea and so many complications in her state. And then she was afraid to leave. Of course, the subconscious told her, do this, do this, do this, do this, and stop the insulin. And she was afraid to leave it because 20 years,
Sure.
she was, yes, it's like something that you have to do it every day, even without thinking. And when she stopped it, of course, she is now on a diet, but she doesn't need any insulin.
Oh.
And this was a big, huge success in the family because we all were, we have passion to her, and we were emotionally very cooperating with her.
Mm-hmm.
Another one, she was also a friend, and she is also a practitioner with us. She was with me in United Kingdom, and she didn't have child for 7 years, and we switched sessions. And she, after 3 months, she called me and she was expecting a child, and she sends me the videos of her baby. She's a girl.
After 7 years.
After 7 years, and she got a child.
That's amazing.
And of course, when you say these things, people cannot understand it. They say, but because she understands the technique, so she really was very eager to take it seriously.
Right.
Yeah, and so many others, but these are what pops up in the mind.
Some really great stories. Do you mind sharing how you felt when you had a session? What was that like? Was it what you expected? Yeah. You said you swapped sessions.
I have so many actually. The first one, I took it before I come to meet Dolores, just to see what is happening. I remember I asked her, but I am aware. I didn't go away. So I myself. So that's why I understand the clients when they come, and that's why I also tell them that they will not be traveling outside the country. They will be on the bed, and they will be only talking like. I just send them to a very relaxed state of being, so that they can receive the messages from the real soul, not from the junky monkey.
Yes.
On the surface.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I was lucky enough to have a session with Dolores myself, and one of the first things she asked when I sat up was, well, what do you remember? And I said, well, I remember everything. And she actually, so this was quite a while ago. This was 2008, and I remember in class that was a little bit of a challenge to Dolores to say that. She actually went, "Oh no, I'm sure you don't remember as much as you think," and I was bad. I actually said, try me. I mean, I remember everything. It was amazing. And Dolores still at that time, and of course she's our amazing teacher, and everything is, and she changed the world. Let's face it,
Right.
she's changed the world. So, but I, I've come to learn my place in the legacy that is Dolores Cannon. And so there was a part of me that was poking her a little bit, saying, wait a second. So if I remembered everything, does that mean it didn't work, or that we did it wrong, or that I did it wrong, or whatever? And when we first put together, the support forum with Dolores's approval and help, of course, at first, all we really had was a bunch of people, and we would share notes. And we thought for a while, probably for about a year, we're like, well, we must be doing something wrong, or Dolores must be way better at this than us, or maybe only she can do it and we can't. But many of us, of course, myself included, just persevered. I just kept doing the work, and I kept asking questions,
Right.
and it is quite clear. It became quite clear that we weren't doing anything wrong at all. Uh, to Dolores's credit, I will and should say, when she first started doing this, the majority of people would not remember. But this is when she first started. So this is back, in other day, in a kind of another time, right? Dolores was far before her time. Let's admit that right now. She was way before her time. And the first people that she kind of got to be her guinea pigs were just basically people who she could get to lay down and practice on. There weren't a whole lot of people at first coming, beating down her door, waiting for, in the end, years to have a session with her. At first, it wasn't like that. And at first, the majority of people, not everybody, but the majority of people would not remember. So she kind of held on to that and repeated that over the years. But towards the end, in classes when I was assisting her, or in other times, on our forum, she started to say, things are changing. We as humans are closer to that bigger part of ourselves. We don't have to check out completely anymore. Some people still do, but it's a smaller percentage of people who don't remember what's going on, who aren't aware of what's going on. But it's far more like a daydream or a dream. And in that way, it's similar, because while it's going on, you remember it all and you think you remember it all, but ask yourself tomorrow or next week if you remember, and you kind of go, well, I don't know, unless you wrote some things down or you repeated it or whatever. It can be very dreamlike, but that doesn't mean it didn't work. It doesn't mean you didn't have success. It doesn't mean any of that. And as a matter of fact, it was probably sometime about the time when you've joined our community that, and it took me a while to get Dolores to agree to do it, but we actually did a small YouTube video. It's been seen, I think, just about 30,000 times, but Dolores and I combined forces and we did a video about expectations, and remembering things like, and talking about things like remembering your session. She said, I don't know if you'll remember or not. I mean, some people do, some people don't. And she also talked about high expectations. And that was pretty funny, the one that you said the guy wanted to know all those languages.
Languages, yeah. I said, why Russian? What?
That's pretty interesting. Do you mind telling, did he have a good connection with his higher self or his higher being? What was some of the answers to asking this question?
Oh, this was one of 84 questions.
Yeah.
I remember the question, and because I remember, it took me more than 40 minutes just to go through the questions, because you see, sometimes I have to discuss with him
Sure.
what type of how to ask it, because I will be the one who will be asking, so I have to understand why is he asking these questions. And most of them, the 7-digit numbers of the bank account, and the Ferrari, I want a Ferrari, and the Ferrari, Lamborghini, and what else? Porsche,
Oh
something.
my gosh.
Yeah, you see, so these come from, and I was, of course, I remember very well what I said. I said, I think I am not the goal. Aladdin lamp.
Yes.
So you have to go and find one. Of course, if you go to your subconscious or the higher soul, such miracles can happen because it is the source of the source.
Yep.
But if sometimes we ask for things which maybe open doors for challenges to us, they are not necessary to us. Why
Right.
do we ask for them? Why? Maybe you go to somewhere where it brings you problems. Because but our mind thinks the money and the fame. No, maybe this is not your journey. It's not part of your journey. Maybe your journey should be only simple person, but this simple person is very important in the whole picture of the universe.
Yeah.
So I also talk about these things. Some of the clients, they really, I remember very well. A big part of the questions were skipped because when we discuss, they see it's not necessary to ask this question.
Right.
Believe me. And then we end up into small things about health and about some general things to understand who I am, what's my mission on earth. These are small tips that we really need from the life. They become not so important when you understand that you are here for a journey to fulfill the whole picture of the universe.
Yes.
The whole picture. We are important in the whole, but maybe it's not important for me now, but we are important when the whole picture is finished.
I remember that's a lot of questions. I think the most questions I ever had somebody bring, it was pages and pages, and I looked at the end, and it was close to 300. And I remember thinking, and so this is what I try to tell clients. I said, you know what, you can bring as many questions as you want, but put them in the order that they're important to you, because we don't know how many we'll get to. And Dolores, when I was just the demonstration subject in the class, so it was actually an abbreviated session. It was a little shorter than what most sessions might be. She put a limit on how many questions I could ask during my session. It was 3. I could ask 3 questions only. And what's really, really fascinating, Ikramini, is how the session that I had with Dolores back in 2008 has different levels of understanding, importance, and information coming through. Even today, even 8 years later, it was amazing to begin with. It provided answers and information on one level even then, and over time it has provided more information. And even in this last year or so, when there's been so many changes on the planet, in my own personal life, and changes doing this method, and then of course, the changes that have happened since Dolores' passing, my session just gets deeper and more important and more significant, and there are things that happened in it that make more sense now, and I just find that incredible. And our friend Laura Casto, the amazing Laura Casto, who had such a significant and miraculous physical healing from being at death's door to coming around and being healthy now and walking the planet and doing this work. She's listened to her sessions so many times, close to, I think, 400 times now. And she says she still will occasionally hear something in a new way, even now, even after all of these years, that's significant. And she likes to sit in the energy of the session that brought her all of the changes in her life, and it reaffirms and reconnects herself to that higher part of herself that allows herself to stay connected to it. So many of our clients, and you tell me about yours, but many of our clients, we can't make anyone do anything, but when they come to do this session, we record the session, and we give them a recording, usually an audio recording. Some of us out there are doing video recordings, but usually an audio recording, and then we ask the people to listen to that, and maybe listen more than once, and particularly if they're for healing, to sit in that energy a little bit more. But not all of our clients are compliant to that. What have you found, Cremini?
Yeah, exactly. That is also sometimes I say, and I repeat before they leave, I repeat, please, when you make any contract with any organization or institution, you have terms and conditions. And this healing has terms and conditions. And the most important is that you repeat because not only the words that are coming from these messages, not coming from this higher soul. Sometimes I think this because I believe also the silence between the words is also important because the healing, we understand it because we only hear the words. Healing has nothing to do with it's energy, and
Yes.
sometimes the silence also has energy, and not
Yes.
sometimes all the time. So you have to listen even when you are silent in that recording. All the recording from
Yes.
zero, from A to Z, you have to listen.
Yes.
As long as you repeat it, as long as you are
Yes.
gaining more.
Yes.
So I always, and I, by the way, I call my clients, how was it? How do you feel? Mostly I do that. Mostly. Yeah. Maybe I
Yeah.
don't do it with relatives, but but the normal clients I follow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that you make a significant point there about silence. I know one of my own very memorable sessions that I've referenced over the years was a woman who, um, after we started the session, she, and we talk about this, we take you to a beautiful place, and from that beautiful place, you end up on a cloud, and then the cloud takes you to where you need to go. And she talked to me just a little bit about the beautiful place, but she was very tight-lipped. I mean, literally
Mm.
like this. And even when, I mean, even the lips went white. And I asked her about, the beautiful place. And she says, well, I guess I'm at a stream and I guess there's some woods. But she was like, really kind of fighting it. And I'm like, oh boy, where are we going here? But, and then, I did the rest of the induction and the cloud took her to the place and she didn't say another word. I mean, not one word after that. And Dolores is brilliant. She would say get the client to talk. Well, I used every trick in the book that I knew that Dolores taught that I could even think of to get the client to talk. Client never said another word, not one other word. And so I just kind of talked, and I talked in a big general way about some of the things that we hear the higher self or the soul self say about going inside, asking for higher guidance, but I would, and I gave her a chance to talk, but she really never said anything. But I saw some, a little bit of tear action on the eyes. And when it was over, she didn't have much to say either. And I'm like, when it was over, I thought, I really didn't know what else to say either. But this woman was quite elderly. She came from a abusive background, both as a child and as a wife and mother. And she was beaten into silence her whole life. It was quite hard for her to speak about anything at all. A grocery list, probably, but. In the end, even though she was, I'm not remembering her age, but I believe in her 70s, or even in her early 80s. I think she might have been. I mean, she was. Yes, she was in the later stages of her life, and she left her husband, and she went out and made herself a new life. I mean, within weeks of our session. I remember asking her during our interview session, what would you imagine a life that you would want to live? What does that look like? And I remember her saying, I just want to be left alone. I mean, her father beat her, abused her, her husband beat her, abused her, all of that. She's like, I just want to be left alone. I just want to be alone. Wow. And I didn't, we never really know what's going to happen after a session, but I was able to find out in the end that this woman, even though she'd never been out of control of her father or husband for, 8 decades. She moved out, and I don't know how long she had or has, but became independent for the first time in her entire life. Probably just lived in a little apartment on her, on her Social Security or whatever, but she was making a new beginning for her, finally achieving what she had wanted for that entire life, which was just simply to be left alone.
Wow. You see, when I was really, it's very interesting for me to listen to this story because it's sometimes we get some changes, but we do not refer for a certain reason why did they happen. And for this session, after 1 week, as you say, after 1 week, it means that it has made a big impact on her life.
Mm-hmm.
But the good thing is that you watch your
Yes.
life and you see the changes.
Yes.
Because sometimes we don't admit. We don't say, it was because of the session. But there are things that because of the session are happening.
Yes.
We could admit, We
Yes.
want somebody who is telling them, you see, this has happened because we want it exactly. Sometimes it doesn't happen exactly, but it happens.
Yes.
There is something happening. There is a change, but we don't know. It happens to what fits you.
Yes.
It goes to exactly to what fits you. The universe is very intelligent to give you exactly what you need.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and sometimes, I talk about this. There's a continuum. There are things that happen in sessions that are just jaw-dropping. I mean, absolutely jaw-dropping, obvious, amazing, miraculous, whatever you want to talk about. And then there's some sessions where, people go, well, that was interesting, and you don't quite know. It's not very obvious what happens. But I don't know about you, but I have, people, some clients will contact me then, a year, even 2 years later and say, I didn't think much happened during the session, but let me tell you something. And then they'll fill in the blanks. They'll say, this led to this, meant this, and then this. And Dolores always taught us that whatever happens in a session is perfect and exactly correct what's going to happen right then and there. Of course, she kind of set the bar high, though, by writing those books because a lot of people then come with these very high expectations. So sometimes I will have the clients, review that videotape that Dolores and I did about high expectations, and I guarantee you, and I'm not at all loath or afraid to say this. Dolores, really, she didn't at first want to make this video at all, and I said, but Dolores, these people are coming to you, your practitioners, and they have these giant, huge expectations. They want these cosmic adventures. They think simply by, that they're absolutely going to go to the planet, whatever. They're absolutely going to do this, and they're absolutely going to get all their Ferraris and whatever and be healed instantly. And, sometimes that does happen. It depends on if, that's part of your purpose and you're aligning that way. And sometimes it happens right away, and sometimes it happens later, and sometimes it doesn't happen at all because it's not for your best good. And this is just your conscious mind thinking that's what you want.
Perfectly said. Perfect. You are just saying exactly what it is. And I really say it also to my client because I learned from the experience that this should be said and this should be informed. I must inform them about this so that they do not come back again. It's not that I'm avoiding the discussion. No,
Mm-hmm.
I want, because I myself want to see if this is doing well or not.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to have real results.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to they have to understand that sometimes the change is not for them. And sometimes it happens after a while. It's not good now, but it can happen a while. But
Mm-hmm.
it can happen another way, in another form. It can take another form
Mm-hmm.
that they cannot say, oh, it was because of the session.
Mm-hmm.
It happened. I asked this, and I wanted Ferrari, and I got Lamborghini. You see, you understand? So
Yeah.
it is sometimes the time it takes time. Sometimes it happens, but it happens in another form. Sometimes it, as you said, doesn't happen because
Mm-hmm.
it's not good for
Mm-hmm.
you.
Right.
It's not along your journey in this time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in your journey.
One of the other things that I've noticed that happens, and so, a lot of clients have come and they've tried other things. So you get some clients who've never tried anything like this, like, my lady who, said nothing. Believe me, I know she never tried anything at all like this. But
Right.
there are some clients who show up and they've done the circuit. They've done this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing. And sometimes those clients, their expectations are a little different. And sometimes I think almost a little harder to deal with because, it's as if they've tried 100 ways to achieve some of the same things, and this was 101, and they expect it to be, monumentally different than the other 100. And sometimes it is, really, truly, sometimes it is. But sometimes it's just, they just want confirmation. And it's just a repetition of the things that they've already learned doing some of these other things, these other meditations or these other experiences or these other consciousness explorations. And sometimes that's a little tough. And what I say, look, this is confirming that the work you've done has been correct, and so your conscious mind can't force anything. It's not going to force a thing at all. And so you really never know what's going to happen. But sometimes if coming and having a QHHT session is, 101st thing that you tried and nothing happened, and then they go try, and I don't even know, method XYZ down the road in a couple weeks, maybe what happened in the QHHT session finally cracked the door that allowed them to, when they do XYZ method in a couple of weeks, to let that then method be the thing that brings them the peace or the healing or the understanding or whatever. Maybe this is just another step on the journey, and it's another dot that's connected so that you can finally get to that place. So I always say, there's no knives, there's no surgery, there's no coming back every week for 5 years. This is an afternoon of exploration, and it can be, monumental immediately or later, or it may be just another step in your journey. But you just have to be open to whatever it is that happens. And if you have some sort of idea that it needs to, contain certain elements to be considered successful, that's a tough place for us as practitioners to be in, right? Because we don't do anything except for kind of hold the hand.
Just facilitate. That's true. That's true. From my experience, because I am dealing with two types of clients, because I deal with Arabs and the European, but we all, with the European we speak English because different nationalities, and with the Arabs, of course, I do it in Arabic. The thing is that I haven't announced in my website about this QHHT. So people who come to me mostly are from the Dolores side, and mostly are Europeans. So they come to me. So those who come to me through Dolores side, they have read some books. They have seen some YouTubes. The Arabs, they come by word of mouth. I have done it to some friends, and they started to see, and so they come through this. In their case, all the Arabs, I have to talk a lot. It's not educate, because it's not a nice word to say I educate you, but I have to tell you a lot before we start, because I have to make like a summary for all what I should, what Dolores has said, and I must do it in a cultural way.
Yes.
I have to take in consideration so many other aspects. And then I make it like a budget, and then I say it to them. And believe me, I am really getting very good number from Arabs, and they are recommending husbands too. So mostly they were women. Now they are recommending, now the 22nd of August, I have a man. He is a husband of a wife. She came to me and she liked the idea. She liked even she didn't have really very big problem, not health problem or major problems, some simple things of life. But she went into that tranquility.
Mm-hmm.
She sensed it, and
Mm-hmm.
so and maybe her husband is passing through some stuff in his life. So she called me. She said, I want him to come to you. I said, no, he must call me. I
Excellent.
cannot take it from you. He must call me, please.
Excellent.
If you come, you can come again, but he must call me.
Mm-hmm.
And he did, and we booked a day.
That's amazing. I'd like to talk more about that. I want to throw something out there for you right now. Remember the lady in her 80s who came
Yes.
to see me? Do you know that her husband made the appointment? Her
No.
her abuser made the appointment, and he just wanted to fix her because she'd had a injured back. So he was sending her to me to get her fixed because they had tried everything medically. And I said to him, exactly what you said. Normally people call me directly. And he's like, well, she doesn't use the computer. And my daughter wants a session too. And anyway, long story short, I'm with you. I want to talk with them. And normally I put up my hands. But in the end, I mean, when she sat down and started telling me a little bit about her life, and I said, but he made the session. Did he not think you would talk to me about this? She said, I don't know what he thought. So I think he thought he had such control of her even then that she wasn't going to tell me anything like that, that we were just going to fix her back
Oh,
so
okay.
that,
So you have
she,
the magical wand.
right. So, let's just say the outcome really surprised him. But I love that fact. The idea that you are doing this in two vastly different cultures
Yes.
is just amazing. And we do have practitioners in that area of the world. And it's a different game. It's a different way of looking at it. But in the end, it is consciousness exploration. And in the end, you have to take each person individually, what their thoughts are, what their goals are, what they're trying to achieve. And that's what I love so much about Dolores's method. It can work on anything, for anybody,
Everything.
anywhere at all, with no exceptions, for whatever it is that's going on. And I said it even when she was alive, but I'm saying it even more now that she's passed. I think we've only just scratched the surface of what is really, really possible here. More and more things are, even in the expansive place that Dolores Cannon brought to us, with this method, it's expanding even more, and more I think is possible, and more than maybe we even understand or realize. I really truly believe that Dolores Cannon changed the world, and the work that we do together, and simply even having this conversation here, I think expands that energy outward. And then when we put it on YouTube like this and other people will share it, it just builds and builds and makes more and more possible. It makes us more and more powerful, and makes more things, available to us, more things real and possible, and in faster ways,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
and yet in some ways too, there are basic things like, when you talk about your man with the languages in the cars, which is still just hysterical. I've never had anyone kind of ask
Oh, lucky you.
those kinds of
Because he
questions.
left and he said, I am a little disappointed.
I did. Did he expect his Ferrari to be outside parked in the street?
No, I didn't want him. Of course, I don't charge anyone who gives me the impression that he didn't get anything, because it's not a matter of money. I really
Sure.
want to be of to make some change.
Sure.
I really want to be a reason to change, and
Yes.
a good change.
Yep.
So if he doesn't like it,
Yep.
then it's not a, you can be, yeah, as you are.
Yep.
But I explained to him that what he wants might be of his bad.
Yes.
Maybe he gets challenged. Maybe he gets more challenges if he gets Ferrari and Lamborghini, and
Right.
we
Right.
don't know what happens. Maybe he gets killed by them. We don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not good that you ask, but it doesn't mean that those who have them, they are in danger. No, it means that it is not for you, simply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty interesting. Right? A lot of things can make sense after having a session that a lot of things that seemed important going in some of the better sessions when people wake up, they kind of realize what's important. But you just never know. I mean, as practitioners, we have people show up and we think, well, what's going to happen here, or we may remember similar situations or similar clients. And we just really don't know what's going to happen. I have a very memorable session where I remember a man sat down and he was telling me about his marriage. And this was, I mean, it was, they called the cops on each other. They were always in fights. It was just drama. And all he was focused on was, what was wrong and how uncomfortable and crazy this was, and from the outside, almost anybody listening to him describe his marriage, and especially if somebody was watching me, the facilitator listening to this, you would think, well, maybe these people don't belong together, and you just kind of, maybe, but I always, I withhold any sort of judgment, because you never know what's going to go on in these sessions. And this man had the most amazing session that absolutely turned all of that on the head. And his higher self said, no, they belong together. They love each other, that their souls have needed this with each other, and explained everything. And you could have knocked, I think, both of us over with a feather when it was all over. I just was like, well, that was amazing. And he left thinking and saying and feeling completely different about his wife. And he went back because he changed things in himself. Yeah. His marriage changed, and things got, better in a hurry. And it was a very unexpected. And I think that's what I love about this. I mean, because imagine what a lot of traditional therapy is going on out there. They may have taken the two people to a marriage therapist. They may go 2 or 3 times a week for a year, and they'd be fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and wow. And maybe it would help. I mean, sure, but come on, we know these things kind of
different. People are,
yeah. So right, but this took all of that personality away and allowed the higher self to go, well, maybe you should consider this, this, and this, and how this and this and this works. And I mean, he sat up out of that session and was just like, wow. And for me too, and this person is, not a friend, but I, in the local area at times, see this person. And he's still got a strong marriage. It's been several years, and you might not have thought of it looking at the police record. But now
should have booked this session for him.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
well, we're coming down towards the end of our time together today, but I have a question about all of the different things and all of the different projects and talents that you have. So, and how maybe some of those cross. You sent me, and I'll reference this and maybe put a little clip in of a fashion show you just came back from London doing. And one of the first things that was said in the video was that these designs are based upon stories and tales and storytelling. And quantum healing, hypnosis is anything if not storytelling. And then you're telling me you do cartoons for children. How do all of these different things combine and feed and reinforce each other in your life?
I think it's not, for me, I think it's exactly like Dolores said, but maybe I will say it in another way. Mm-hmm. From my understanding is that we have one mind, 2 parts. The biggest mind, which has everything, which can lead you to be everything, anything you want. And it's covered by a block, which is called the monkey mind, which is the rational, the analytical. If you managed to at least take this away for at least a while among the day, not the whole day. Of course, the thinking is always there, but if you just manage to take it away, this will really show you miracles. And the inspiration can come to you, not only art, it can come even as equations, because I am electronic engineer. If I focus on my engineering part, I may maybe discover something in electronics. But I'm really, my passion is so much with art and colors and creative by my hands. And so when I allow this, so the inspiration comes also in this area. So I have the creation of the story, because I write stories from 1000 and Night, from so many epics. I was a child, father is a lawyer, and he had big room only for books, and a library, a big library. So I was really trying to read so much as I can, but of course I forgot everything, but it seems that they are there. So the inspiration is only just popping them up
Uh-huh.
into my, so I just write them, and then I have this drive to make them as a cartoon. So and the cartoon is always with designs and the dresses, so I put this in this. I think engineering is important, as my dad was always saying, be engineer and you can and go and succeed in everything. Engineering is not only as a profession, it gives you the balance, it gives you the ability to make things happen, because you become rational in a creative way. So if you are a creative and engineer, I don't think they are contradicting each other, they are really supporting each other.
Mm-hmm.
So as an engineer, I am supporting all the creativity or the art together. So I think it's when you say it's these different, I think they are one. I think they are one. The cartoon is also art. It's
Mm-hmm.
art from the mind, and the designs is also. But this London, what you saw, this link, I joined actually without. I really left my concept, because I always make a story, and from the story I pass fashion design.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't make it because the time was so short for me. I couldn't make a story and cast of characters and theater and music. So I just showed the designs. On November, this November, I will be having a fashion show with the story in Dubai. So I'm taking the whole crew to Dubai now with me.
Oh my gosh. Well, you'll have to let us know how that works. Well,
You are well invited, really.
oh gosh, how
First,
amazing.
first on the list.
Oh gosh, thank you. Oh, well, we're coming down to the end of our time together. This has been so enjoyable, especially, I've enjoyed getting to know you after seeing your name for so many years on our support forum, and know how creative you are. And I mean, it didn't compute to me your art and creative background until we just started talking recently, and that of course is my background too. And I really want to get back into it, but I love that it's all the same. It's really all the same. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. We as humans, we love to compartmentalize and label things, and sometimes it just doesn't work like that. But this has been such a joy. Would you come back and talk to me a little bit more? I'm particularly interested in the whole sort of the sessions that you do, in the Arabic, and with that culture, and it's so different from what we're used to hearing about, and knowing and hearing how that kind of works, and that that it is happening in that world is just fascinating to me, not only as a human, but as somebody who's been supporting Dolores's method all across the world. This is so exciting to me, and it's so gratifying to me that we have people like you practicing there in a way that's acceptable to hopefully more people over time than even now. But I'd love to have you come back and tell us a little bit more about that. And before I ask you how to people can find you, I want those people who are listening right now to know that you can find a practitioner in your area of the world. We have beautiful photo listings on our companion public site that supports Dolores's original support forum, and that is DoloresCannonQHHT.com, all together, DoloresCannonQHHT.com, or you can always get in touch with me. I'm very happy to help refer you on to anybody in the world who may be near you or someplace you may be traveling. So how can clients find you, please? How would you like them to contact you or Cremini?
I think I have to make some effort to announce through my website too about for the Arabs, because
Sure.
my website is really visited by Arabs a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And regarding the site with Dolores, yes, of course, but I don't know if you have changed something in the site. Even the homepage is the colors is changed, and I think so if you just put it, not only that they have make it easy to immediately go to the practitioner. I think they have to, because I myself, when you change, I have to discover the way to go to myself. So I think if you make it on the spot, because after all they are looking for a practitioner, because
Sure.
they go to Dolores through the YouTube and the books.
Sure.
When you go to the site will not explain everything.
No.
It's only shortcuts about things. But
No.
when they go to the site, it means that they are at the stage of looking for a practitioner.
Yep.
So the most important thing is that you just go to the practitioner quickly. So
Yep.
this
Yep.
is like a note.
Yeah, our particular site has, a map, and it's a little easier to find, and it's really not connected with the estate of that's been left with Dolores Cannon, but DoloresCannonQHHT.com. I will put that right up here so that you all can find that, and I'll put Cremini's website or contact information on the bottom of this YouTube as well. This has been so amazing. I've enjoyed this so much. I really look forward to doing it again, and congratulations on your show and the one upcoming and everything else that you're doing. You're quite a busy lady.
Thank you very much, and I really, really enjoyed the same.
I
also enjoyed every moment with you.
Oh, me too. And sorry I messed up the time zone thing. Gosh, I've done that more than once, and I really need a secretary. So poor Cremini waited for me this morning.
You don't need a secretary.
But anyway, thank you so much, and that's all for now.